Okay, so like I said, I am Tamlin Hislop from the Happiness Consultancy and here tonight to talk to you about how to be happy today and 5 steps to create more happiness in your life. So you might be wondering, why am I talking to you about happiness and how did I get into this? So basically, these 5 steps changed my life and continue to change my life. So that's really why I wanted to share them tonight, and especially because it is my mission to create more happiness in the world. So thank you guys for being a part of this tonight and letting me share that with you. But I just want to ask you a question for you to contemplate, and that question is, what keeps us happy and healthy? And if you were going to invest in your future best self, where would you put your time and energy? So I asked myself this question about 5 years ago, and I started putting all my time and energy into these 5 steps, which literally transformed and changed my life for the better. So these 5 steps are some of my steps that I have been working on, as well as I've done thousands of hours of research to actually look up as to what the steps are to happiness, and included in these 5 steps are those. So I'm going to share those with you now. So I'm really excited to unveil what the 5 steps are. So, one sec. Let's see if I can change the slide. There we go. Okay, so what will we be covering today? So firstly, first step to happiness is positivity. So cultivating a positive mental attitude, having a positive attitude to life. The second step is learning to let go. Thirdly, developing relationships. So what will make us happy for our entire lives is strong, healthy relationships. The fourth step to happiness is positive habits. I'm going to be talking specifically about 3 of those habits today. And lastly, we're going to look at passion and purpose. And like I said, these 5 steps not only changed my life, but the lives of many other people, and come up time and time again according to research. So before we dive into these 5 steps, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. So as you know, I'm Tamlin Hislop, and I have been passionate about personal development from a very young age, but only really recently went into this field the last few years. So why that happened was I went to university in Cape Town. I studied marketing because that's what my dad told me to do. He said, in order to be successful in life, you need to go and earn money, you need to get a good job, and you need to climb the corporate ladder to success, right? Isn't that what we all hear? We all get told that from teachers or parents or peers or other people in our lives. So there I was after my degree in marketing in London, climbing the corporate ladder to success. So I got a job at L'Oreal and I started, and there I was on the road to success. But on the way there, I realized that something was missing in my life. I realized that I wasn't quite happy. And when I say I wasn't quite happy, on the outside I appeared happy because I'm actually an optimist. I'm an optimistic person, so you would never see me down in the dumps. But on the inside, I was feeling empty. Okay, and that didn't feel right to me. That didn't feel normal, and I knew that there was something more to life. So I started to ask questions like, what do I love? What is my passion? What is my purpose? What makes me happy? And when I started asking all these questions, the answers was not the corporate world. So I realized that my ladder was leaning up against the wrong wall. I was leaning up against the corporate wall, climbing to a destination I didn't want to get to. And one day somebody asked me, they said to me, what does success mean to you? And no one had ever asked me that before. I was just going off society's definition of success, which is basically money, a big house, good job, getting promotions, having a family, and do that for the rest of your life, basically. But when I started to define my definition of success, it wasn't that. My definition of success was balance, flexibility, and freedom to do what I loved. I wanted to wake up each day excited to jump out of bed, excited to have the day ahead of me. And when I was in London working in the corporates, that's not how I was feeling. I was waking up and going to work and saying, here we go again. And that finally got enough for me when I kind of went through a quarter life crisis. At age 25, I ended up getting married and then divorced 3 weeks later, and I lost the house that I was living in because we split up. I had no money because I just spent it all on the wedding. I wasn't happy in my job. So I was like, oh my gosh, what on earth is going on in my life? So I started to figure out how to change. And that is what I'm going to be sharing with you today, some of those steps that really helped me change. So literally from going from being unhappy and having a quarter life crisis, I went to dealing with my limiting beliefs, letting go of the past, forgiving, forgetting, and healing, finding my passion and my purpose, finding the man of my dreams, and then traveling around the world for almost 400 days, to then moving back to Zimbabwe where my family are and starting a business that I'm absolutely passionate about. So it sounds a bit like a fairy tale story, and to be honest, it is, but it's not without the hours and the hard work that I put in it. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing today, because I want to help you guys find happiness and find positivity and find positive change in your life to be better. So that's a little bit about me. So let's look at some rules for this webinar tonight. So I would like you, before we delve into all the exciting material, I just want to make sure that you turn off any distractions that you have. If you've got the TV on in the background or your phone is right next to you and you're texting or WhatsApping or on Facebook while I'm talking, please turn it off, because tonight we're talking about a topic that will absolutely change your life. So please remain present with me tonight. That's the next step. Please be focused on what I'm saying and what I'm going through. I've got so much value to go through, and I really, really want you to be focused and present on what I'm doing. The next step is write things down. Please have a pen and paper in front of you, because you're going to be hearing lots of interesting things tonight, and I want you to take action. Remember, results come from action. So unless you remember what those actions are, you're not going to take them. So please write things down tonight. And just a note on questions, guys. I won't be answering questions throughout the webinar, but I will have a segment at the end to cover questions. So please feel free to pop them in the question box, but I actually won't be checking the question box until the end. So I'm hoping this webinar will last about 45 to 50 minutes, and then we'll have some question time at the end. Okay, great. Well, let's right in. So the number one mistake that people make when looking for happiness is they look outwardly instead of inwardly. So they rely on other people, places and things, or money, or their jobs, education, travel, babies, all of that to make them happy. So you will actually never be truly happy if you rely on external circumstances. So I realized this when I was in London, being squashed up against the tube wall with hundreds of other people on one day, and then another day experiencing complete happiness because there was an empty tube. Okay, so if that was going to be the rest of my life, I needed some deeper reasons to be happy. It's the same with the weather in London. Is if it was a cloudy, miserable, rainy day, we'd all be grumpy. But if it was sun shining, then we'd be happy. That's no way to live our lives, because we actually don't have control over external circumstances. So if you are experiencing this mistake like I did, try and start to look inwardly for happiness instead of outwardly for happiness. So what does that mean, really? So the mind is essentially like a balloon in the sky. So if the wind blows it in one direction, the balloon will follow. And the mind is if the mind is influenced by external circumstances, the mind will follow the influences whether they are good or bad, and whether the direction is positive or negative. So this is unstable happiness. This is what we want to avoid. So what we're after is stable happiness. So in order to get this, we need to stop outsourcing our happiness and unhappiness based on people and circumstances. We need to stop attributing happiness to what is going on outside of ourselves and stop blaming other people for our happiness. I'm sure you can all relate to this. I mean, I've had a lot of bosses in the past or experiences where I've said, they make me hate my job, they make me feel like this, where actually we're the ones that are in control. So I want to teach you guys tonight, and I want you to realize that you can actually learn to cultivate happiness from within. So happiness is actually a state of mind, and therefore causes cannot be found outside of the mind. So it's not happy, it's whatever's outside of the mind, it doesn't matter. It's actually our response that determines the happiness or the unhappiness. So I'll say that again, guys. It's our response to the external situation that determines our happiness. So I want you to stop being like a balloon. Stop letting other people's circumstances and things influence your happiness. Start cultivating it from within. So how do we do that? So these 5 steps I'm going through today are to help you create happiness on the inside and on the outside. So it takes time to create happiness on the inside. So while you're learning to do that and while you're creating that, it's also good to define what does happiness actually mean to us and what are some of the things that make us happy. So what is your happiness cocktail? So if you could make the perfect happiness cocktail, what would that look like? What kind of ingredients would go into that cocktail? So a lot of people come to me in coaching and say, I want to be more happy. And then so I'll say, okay, tell me what happiness is. What makes you happy? And they're unsure or they're unclear of the answers. So of course you're not going to find happiness if you're unclear of it. So it's really important that you get clear on what it is that makes you happy on the inside as well as the outside. Some of the things that make me happy specifically are I love meditation. So on the top left there, this is me meditating in my garden with my dog, my baby Zephyr. He is my handsome prince, and he makes me extremely happy. So it's not only meditating, it is my dog Zephyr that makes me happy. Over here in the middle, we have Matt and I doing, having just done a triathlon. I love being sporty and doing sporting challenges and keeping fit and healthy. So that's another thing that makes me happy. My family makes me really happy. Is my mom there and my dad down the bottom with his girlfriend Arlene. So spending time with family is really, really adds value to my life. It's really, really important to me. In the middle there, we have me hiking, and this, I think, this is in Malaysia. We hiked Mount Kinabalu. I love being in nature. It makes me feel amazing. And I try and do this as much as possible, is just get out into nature. On the bottom left there, we have me presenting. So basically what I'm doing now, and I absolutely love this. This is like sacred to me. This is doing what I love, experiencing my passion and my purpose. And then there's my friends there, my special friends. They really bring me so much joy and happiness. So I make sure that I have time for Skype chats with them because they live all over the world, and quality time with them here in Zim. And that is me diving with a whale shark. I absolutely am obsessed with animals. If you ask my fiance Matt, he thinks I'm crazy because my favorite program is watching America's Funniest Home Videos, but the animal version. So yes, I'm a bit of a nutcase with animals. And lastly, personal development. Personal development basically is like my oxygen. I eat, drink, and sleep personal development. So anything that's positive or self-help, whether it's video, a seminar, or a book, give that to me and that will make me happy. So there's just a bit of a selection there of what are some of the things that make me happy. So I want you guys to do this for yourself. What are some of the things that make you happy? And create a mood board or a vision board of some of these things. So whenever you feel those days when you just need a bit of a boost or you've had a little bit of a bad day, do something on this list that makes you happy. So it really will help lift your mood. Okay, so what is this number? What is 52%? So this percentage is actually how much happiness is within your control. Okay, so this was a study that was done on the secret to happiness by the American Enterprise Institute. And the results of that study were 48% of happiness is genetic. Okay, I said that today in my free happiness seminar this morning, and everyone went, oh my gosh, half of happiness is genetic. So for me, I'm all right. I had happy parents, but I guess it's if you didn't have happy parents, it can be a bit scary. But the good thing is you have 52% left to create happiness with. So 40% of that 52 actually comes from big life events. So big life events like getting married or promotions or winning the lottery, I guess, or anything significant in your life. And then the other 12% comes from little things, everyday occurrences, habits, and lifestyles. So what I'm going to be talking to you today again about is this 52%, how we can actually influence and create our happiness. So let's go ahead to step one. Positivity. So you can't live a positive life with a negative mind. How many of you believe this? I hope all of you. So psychologists have actually found that happiness is the ability to focus on the positive. So this is exciting because it is a learnable skill. It is a learnable behavior. So I naturally, like I said, I'm an optimist. I naturally think positively. But if you don't, if you're more of a realist or even a pessimist, you can learn the skill. And there's actually loads of research behind the benefits of being positive. I'm not going to read it all out, but to give you an idea that positive people live longer. They have positive work environments, and they earn more money, and they are more successful than other people. They are better leaders, and they make better decisions because they respond well under pressure. Marriages are more likely to succeed because they're positive. Positive people regularly express emotions and are more resilient when facing stress and challenges. And positive people are able to maintain broader perspective and see bigger picture. So this therefore allows them to be more solutions oriented. So there's huge amount of research and benefits behind being positive. So make sure you look up some of those results and research and realize it for yourself. This is the mistake though that people make with having a positive attitude. And that is that they don't realize they actually have control over their thoughts. This is the crazy thing that I experience when I have coaching clients is they are unaware that they can change their thinking. So a lot of my sessions are about helping these clients actually take back control over their lives and start being conscious about their thinking instead of unconscious. So most of us actually live our lives on a treadmill or on being vacant, just letting our lives be like, our minds be like a balloon, being swayed this way and that way, depending on the day, depending on the person, depending on the mood. But I want you guys to take back control. I want you to literally imagine that you have the controls to your mind and your thoughts, because you do. So this is an extremely important point. So make sure that you start to realize that you have the ability to influence your happiness levels based on what you are thinking. If you believe this, thoughts create reality. So I'm sure you would have all heard the positive phenomenon or the popular phenomenon, The Secret or the Law of Attraction. Well, some people believe it, some people don't. I absolutely do. It has helped me create and achieve most of my goals in my life. So for example, when I did get my job at L'Oreal, for 6 months before, I used to walk past the L'Oreal building every day, and I used to point up at the second floor at the Redken office, and I used to say, I'm going to work there and I'm going to sit there at that desk. And I did this every day because I worked down the road. And For 6 months, I did this, and I had my goal written down. I used to visualize myself sitting in that desk working at L'Oreal. And 6 months later, I went on holiday to Portugal, and guess what? Lying next to me by the pool was this girl who worked for Lancome, which was owned by L'Oreal. So she got me an interview, and off I went, but I didn't get it. I didn't get the job. So I didn't let that stop me. So this is an important point here, guys. My mindset said, oh, you failed. You might as well just stay where you are and carry on with life. But because I had trained my mind to think positively, I did not give up. I said, I'm going to get this job, and I carried on being positive and proactive about it. And a few weeks later, I got another call for a job at Redken on the second floor. And guess what? As you know, I got the job, and I actually sat in that same seat that I was pointing at every day. So why is that? I believe it's because I was focusing on it day in, day out, and I believed that it was possible. So I want you really to think about what is it that you want in life? What are your goals? What are your dreams? What are you focusing on a daily basis? Because that is literally shaping and creating your reality. Let's look at this diagram now. So most people make the mistake of looking at their current situation, for example, their bank account or a job that they hate, and they look at their results, and that influences the way that they think, the way that they feel, and the way that they act. And for example, if their bank account is not optimum, if they got no money in their bank account, of course their thoughts aren't going to be positive, they're not going to feel great, and they're not going to be proactive and take action. So what I want you guys to start thinking about and start doing is don't let your current situation dictate how you think and feel and act. Let it be a benchmark, but rather change your thinking to a goal and ask yourself, what do I want? And let that dictate how you think, how you feel, and how you act. When I think about my goals, I get excited, I get motivated, and I take action. So when I first came back to Zim, I just started my business. So my first month, I only earned a few $100s. So I didn't let that make me feel or make me think and feel terrible and just put my head in the sand like an ostrich. I used it as motivation because I was focusing on a big 6-figure goal. And I am en route to getting there because of my thinking and because of what I've been focusing on. Why don't we do this? Why don't we focus on our goals and positive things? It's because we haven't created positive habits, and it's hard because our ego likes to dwell on the negative things in life. It likes to create drama. So we have to learn to be strong with that remote control with our thoughts. So let's look at some solutions. So I want you to ask yourself these 3 questions. Firstly, what are you focusing on a daily basis? Focusing on positive thoughts, positive goals, gratitude, kindness, the good that you can do in the world? Or are you focusing on the drama or what's not working in your life? Surrounding yourself with. Are you surrounding yourself with positive, uplifting, empowering people that add value to your life, that grow you, that push you out of your comfort zone? Or are they negative? Are they talking about what is not within your control, like the economy or the government or the news or the latest TV program that's going on? And lastly, what are you feeding in your mind? An astounding thing that I find every time that I ask this question is most of the time people say nothing. They don't spend any time adding value to their life through reading positive books or watching positive videos or learning something that's going to expand their mind. It's actually astounding that not many people do this, yet our mind creates our life. So these 3 questions are really, really important to help you cultivate more positivity in your life. So I actually had a client that came to me and said, I'm really not happy in my life at the moment, and I'm not sure why. So I asked her these 3 questions. I said, what are you focusing on? And she said, oh, well, I've got an all right job, and I earn an all right salary, but times are tough and Zim. Businesses are closing down. People are leaving the country. Times are really tough. Okay, so that's basically what she's focusing on. Next question I asked is, what are you feeding your mind? So she says, well, I'm really tired at the end of the day. I get home and I'm exhausted. So I just watch TV and then I go to bed. Okay, so that's the things that she's feeding her mind. And then the last question I asked is, who's she surrounding herself with? So she said, well, I do try and help others. There's a lot of unhappy people in the world, a lot of negative people. So I'm always, trying to be there with them, helping them lift them up, helping them get better. So after I asked these 3 questions, I was like, well, no wonder you're not happy, because what are you focusing on? She was basically creating unhappiness as opposed to happiness. So really be aware of what you are putting your mind and yourself through. So this leads me on to the next step, which is letting go. Life becomes easier when you learn to accept apology that you never got. We need to learn about letting go. So the main mistake that people make with this point is people tend to live in the past or hold on to the past. So this is extremely important because I have personally experienced this, the bad side and the good side. So if you have any anger, bitterness, resentment, or unhappiness of any kind in your life towards other people or anything, this is a sign that you need to let go of something. So negative emotions are extremely toxic to our minds and our bodies, especially suppressed anger. Whereas forgiveness or letting go actually heals the mind and the body. So if there's anything that you know of that you think that you could let go, I want you to start coming to terms with how you can do that, because you will only lead a happier life if you start to let go of the past today. So how do we do that? So don't let anyone rent a space in your head unless they're a good tenant. So this is something that I experienced many years ago when I got divorced. So after I got divorced or separated, my ego would create drama around the situation and just replay the problem over and over in my head, and it was always stewing on it. So he was renting a space in my head and he wasn't a good tenant. So when I realized, oh my gosh, this is not what I want in my head or for my life. So when I made a decision to let go and kick the tenant out, there was space. There was space in my mind for good stuff, for positivity, for new people, for being in the present and for living in the future. So guys, a wound will only heal if you stop touching it, but it's the natural human way to keep going back to the wound. But you have to be disciplined and leave it alone no matter how many times you want to go back and poke it. So you have to stop your mind and realize, as in point 1, you have control over your mind. So the good thing is that your mind cannot occupy 2 states at one time. It's either a positive emotional thought or a negative emotional thought. So if you think about a negative emotion, you absolutely have the power to stop that negative thought or emotion and replace it with a positive through habit, discipline, and being aware and conscious of your thinking. How do we do that? Those solutions. So you have 3 options. Remove yourself from the situation, change it, or accept it. Don't stay in it and complain about it. Take one of these 3 actions. The next thing that you can do is express your thoughts and your feelings. So this is the number 1 reason for disease, is because it is dis-ease in the mind and in the body. It's because we don't express the anger, the bitterness, the hatred. So it's really important you get that out. And if you can't get that out by talking to somebody about it, then at least write it down. Men are especially bad with this. They tend not to let things out, but they tend to bottle it up. Make sure you let this out. Next, take responsibility. What could you have done better? What role did you have to play? and take positive action. So something that I did after my separation was I went to the library and I rented about 20 self-help books on forgiveness and healing and happiness. And I just spent all my days and nights focusing on positive stuff. And this is what changed my life, because it didn't allow any more room for the negative. And it helped me focus on how to change rather than wasn't working in my life. You ask yourself, what can I learn from this? So this is another question that changed my life, because I became a different person because of my bad experience. But because I took the learnings, I grew significantly, and I grew in a good way, in a positive way. But I know some people who have gone through similar experiences who haven't grown and are still back there and still have that resentment. So make sure that you take some of these solutions and make some positive changes today and let go. I want you to think about who's on your list or what is on your list. Is there anyone or anything that you need to deal with and let go to make space in your life? So we're going to go on to is relationships. So the secret to the good life is good relationships. So this is actually a study that was done, and it's a TED Talk, actually. You can go and look it up. But it's called What Makes a Good Life, and it's actually the longest study on happiness that took place over 75 years with 724 men. And what they found was three things. They found that social connections are really, really good for us, that we live longer and we're happier because of them, and that loneliness kills and is toxic to us. The second thing that they found was the quality of the close relationships was that mattered. So it's not about the amount of relationships or that you're in a relationship. It is the quality of that relationship. Is it an exceptional quality, or is it someone you don't want to be around? So good, warm, quality relationships make us healthier, while high conflict, bad relationships are actually bad for our health. And lastly, they found that good relationships protect our bodies and our brains. So we actually live longer and we're healthier and happier with good relationships. So that's quite significant in my opinion. If you have good relationships, you're basically healthier, happier, and live longer. Foster and develop good relationships. Well, it's because they're difficult and they're hard and they're messy and they're complicated and they take work, right? But it's worth the work. So the mistake that people make is that they don't spend enough time with the people that they love. So make it something on your to-do list to spend more time with those people that matter to you in your life. So I like the saying, kids don't remember their best day of television. I certainly don't. I remember my holidays, and I remember climbing trees. I remember my animals. I remember fun times. I don't remember the TV. And I did watch a lot of TV as a child, and it's definitely something I'm not going to be doing with my children. So what are the solutions for working on those relationships? Some of the things that you can try today. So be proactive and lean into relationships with family and friends. Like, try and replace some screen time with family time. So if you're watching 3 hours of TV a night or 2 hours of TV a night, take away one of those hours and replace it with some good quality family time. Do something new together. Experience something different. Create new memories. Date night once a week or once a month. Reach out to old family and friends that you haven't spoken to in years. We all know that life is too short. So make sure that you heal and repair old relationships with family and friends that you want to, and create better relationships in your life. So there was a client that I had that actually had a relationship problem, and he said, I don't know why, but we're just not happy, we're not getting along. So this is one of the questions I asked. How much quality time and quantity of time are you spending together? And he couldn't really give me much of an answer, and he basically said it wasn't very much. And that is basically the problem. So he then made a commitment to spend 2 hours of quality time with his wife per night. And that is actually what changed his relationship. By adding quality and quantity of time to your relationships, they will grow and develop. So let's look at habits now, the fourth step to happiness. So happiness is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. How many of you agree with this? So there's a book called The Compound Effect, which is a good book to read. And basically that book is all about having one daily action that actually leads up to be a significant result. And that is what habits are all about. So what are some of the habits, though, that lead to happiness? Before we go into those, let's look at the mistake that people make with habits. People don't practice positive habits day in and day out that lead to happiness. They expect quick fixes, or they practice a habit for a couple of days or maybe a couple of weeks, and then they fall off the wagon. So this is extremely important. Happiness comes from habits, which basically comes from discipline. So another interesting part of that study that I was telling you about earlier was that with the 40% of happiness that is created by big life events, the 12% is to do with this. It's to do with these day in, day out habits that lead to happiness. What are those habits? So gratitude, we all know this, guys. Creating a habit of gratitude and watch your life transform. I actually experienced this for myself. I started keeping a gratitude journal in January of this year. I've kind of done it on and off for a few years, but this year I started doing it as a proper habit. And I literally watched my thoughts transform. I started to focus on positive, good things in my life all of the time. I was constantly looking for things to be grateful for because I knew that I had to write down my 3 things in the evening and my 3 things in the morning. So it is a significant habit that can literally lead to a huge amount of happiness in your life. And we'll go through each of these steps now. So starting with gratitude, psychologists have actually scientifically proven that it is the greatest contributing factor to overall happiness. Isn't that huge? The greatest contributing factor to overall happiness? That, for me, that was a big thing. And that's actually what made me get out my gratitude journal and start it as a habit. I was like, if I need to be happy, then this is what is going to make me happy. And it's true. So they have done another study that shows that an increase of up to 19% in happiness by showing daily gratitude. So people who are more grateful are actually more optimistic about the future. So what you'll find is your focus will start to shift on the good and the things that you have instead of what you don't have. So being grateful actually rewires your brain. How cool is that? So the next thing, one way you can do it is keep a gratitude journal. Like I said, this has really worked for me. But if you don't want to keep a gratitude journal, that's your choice. But make sure that you then say or talk about the thing that you're grateful for. Or also pick up the phone and call those people in your life that you love and that you're grateful for. So the next step is kindness. People often forget that kindness is free. So I asked this question in my seminar today, and do you know what? The question I asked them was, how many of you do a random act of kindness per day? And I think out of 45 people, a couple of people raised their hands. So guys, it's free. Why don't we do more of it? It's basically because we're lazy and we just don't think about it. We're living unconscious lives. But there was a study that was done about random acts of kindness, and it showed that doing one thing per day actually didn't impact overall levels of happiness. But when you did 5 things per day, it increased happiness by 22%. So what are some of the things that you can do to be more kind? So you can give compliments to strangers. You can give compliments to your friends, your family, just complimenting them on their clothes or their hair or how pretty they look that day. You can give people small tips. You can call a friend and just tell them that you're thinking about them. So there's so many ways to be kind. So don't forget, guys, that it's free and you can make it a daily habit in your life. The problem with this is that we experience something called hedonistic adaptation, which basically means we get used to it and therefore it doesn't actually increase our happiness levels anymore. So what we need to do is actually plan out, actually have planned experiences that throw us off the norm. So for example, by giving the $1 at the lights every day, that doesn't actually increase our happiness anymore. So one day we need to maybe do something different, like buy them lunch or do something that actually changes you from the norm that will increase the happiness. It is mindfulness, guys. So this is also another habit that has absolutely changed my life. So this is me in the Redwoods National Park in California a couple of years ago. It was the most beautiful park, and like I said, I'm a nature crazy person, so I had to stop there and just be present and mindful about where I was and what I was experiencing. So mindfulness actually can be found and experienced in many different ways. So the obvious one that we all know is meditation. Okay, so meditation is not a new thing. Everyone's doing it. It's the latest thing, the latest buzzword. But mindfulness meditation actually does help you create happiness from the inside out. I meditate every day for 11 minutes, and I put some background music, some meditation music on in the background, and I go into my mind and I create stillness. And this helps me create or helps me control the thoughts that I'm thinking on a daily basis. But you can actually create mindfulness in other ways, such as just being present and experiencing what you're doing in each moment. So today I had some mints at my seminar, and I asked everyone to take a mint and eat that mint, and I asked them to all experience that mint and taste it and really feel like, what does this taste like? And everyone was smiling and chewing and really concentrating. And if only we could do that for more important things in our life or everyday things in our life, we would be more mindful and experience the huge benefits of mindfulness. So just what's one thing that you can do today to start being more mindful of the things in your life? This image represents happiness for a lot of people, which basically means 1 minute you're riding on top of the wave, having the time of your life, and the next minute you are crashing and burning and hitting the bottom of the sand and getting tossed and turned and coughing and spluttering. So this is not the type of happiness that we want. We don't want to be on top 1 minute and then crashing and burning the next minute. What we want is this. What we want is depth. So no matter what the conditions are on the outside, whether there's a storm or a tornado or something going on the inside we have depth of happiness. And this is cultivated through habits and through mindfulness. The last step that I'm going to go through today, guys, is the key to happiness is earned success, which is about passion and purpose. So the mistake that people make is that they actually don't know what their passion and their purpose is. So do you know what your passion and your purpose is? Or how much time have you actually spent figuring out what your passion and purpose is? I don't know about you, but I've spent thousands of hours figuring it out. So some of us are really lucky to know what our passion and our purpose is. My cousin Nicole's an artist, and she knew that she wanted to paint from a young age, and she knows that that's all she wants to do for the rest of her life. Whereas I didn't experience that. Like I said, at age 25, I hit a wall, and I was like, what on earth do I want to do with my life? But I took the time to figure it out. So spending time on your passions will give you happiness because you're doing what you're hardwired to do. But neglecting your passions, on the other hand, will have you live a life that is below your potential. So I actually had a client come to me yesterday who said, I'm in a day job doing office admin, but my passion is to do clothes and be a designer. So she actually knew what her passion was, but fear was holding her back. So if you are lucky enough to know what it is, don't let fear stop you. So when I was stuck in my same old job day in, day out, not doing what I loved, of course I wasn't going to find happiness. So you do have to figure it out. And when you do what you love, your heart actually beats differently. When I'm doing what I love right now, I'm excited. You should have you should see me, how excited I get when I'm coaching people or when I'm doing this. This is my calling. So I want you guys to really think about how you're spending your life. You're not spending your time, you're spending your life. So there's an interview that I read with Irish playwright George Bernard Shaw, where they asked him, if you had the power to be born again, if you could come back as anyone in the world, who would you come back as? And he said to them without blinking, I'd come back as the man I never was. So don't be that person. Don't get to the end of your life and say, I wish I had my life over again because I didn't live it the way that I wanted to live it. So let's look at how you can find some of your passions and your purposes. You guys to get, what do you love? You love to do. And for me, I love reading personal development books. I love attending seminars. I love watching motivational videos. That makes me happy. Could you spend all day reading about, or hours reading about? What could you do all day and not get paid? So I didn't get paid for my seminar this morning, and I'm not getting paid now. It's bringing me happiness because it's my passion. What are you curious about? What could you do if time or money wasn't an option? So I would still probably be doing this because I absolutely love it. What are you naturally good at? A lot of the time, you're actually naturally good at what makes us happy. Or ask yourself, what was I naturally good at school? What were your natural inborn talents at school? Another good way to figure out is what's not working. So this is what helped me figure it out when I was at L'Oreal, because I was stuck in this corporate job, climbing the success ladder, and it wasn't working for me. So I knew that it was something different that I needed to search for. So what I did was I took time. I spent hours and hours figuring it out. So through much experimentation, through watching videos, through writing, through reading, I started to realize patterns. I started to realize that I loved personal development. I loved learning. I loved going to seminars and working with people and helping others. And what did this tell me? This was actually a light bulb moment for me because my friends were different. My friends wanted to do other things, and I wanted to do what I'm doing. So that is a sign for you that that is your passion. So there's a nice quote that I love, which is, life is short. If there is ever a moment to follow your passions and do something that matters to you, that moment is now. Don't wait another day, month, or year to start doing it. Start doing it now. Storm some ideas. Make a mind map or a vision board and see what similarities come up. So onto your purpose. So your purpose is what you love, what the world needs, what you can be paid to do, and what you're great at. This is a way to figure out what your purpose is. So for me, my purpose is my reason to get out of bed in the morning, and my purpose is to create happiness. It's to create more happiness in people's lives in every area of their life. So my passion is personal development, but my purpose is to change people in a positive way by helping them create happiness. So you have to have a reason to exist. Your purpose is your reason to exist. So people who live on purpose is when they're tied to something that is bigger than them. You feel a sense of gratitude or greatness or power when you give back and when you make a difference and when you're living a purposeful life. And that is what your purpose is about. So it's really important that you get clear on that. So what are the solutions? How do you figure out what your purpose is? I want you to get clear on things like, if you had $1 million to change the world, what activity gives you the greatest feeling of importance and satisfaction? What legacy do you want to leave behind? Or sitting on a rocking chair and looking back on your life, what do you want to see? What difference did you make? I know if I had $1 million, I would create schools or personal development schools where people could learn the stuff, or kids could have access to the stuff, because we're not taught the stuff at school. We're not taught how to create more happiness, to be grateful and kind and set goals and be good with our time management. We're not taught this at school. And if we were, I probably would have found my passion a lot earlier in life. And I'd also probably say the Amazon because I'm passionate about nature and about trees. So it's really getting clear on what are your answers to some of these questions, because this will help you get clear on what your purpose is. And another thing is, what makes you really, really angry? That's also another giveaway as to what your purpose could be. So lastly, I want to just touch on earned success. So in the video, The Secret to Happiness, they say that the secret to happiness is earned success. And basically what that means is that you are creating value with your life. So whether you have money or no money, or whether you're top educated or you have no education, you have the same level of happiness if you feel that you are giving value back, if your life is of value. So really, that's an interesting finding. So whether the poorest person or the richest person can have the same level of happiness based on their value. And this is to do with passion and purpose. This is to do with knowing that what you do every day has value and meaning. What did we cover today? So I just want to round up these last few slides and just talk to you about an awesome program that I have coming up called 6 Weeks to Happiness, and then we'll cover some questions. So we covered today positivity. So having a positive mental attitude can absolutely create more happiness in your life today. The second step is letting go. So letting go of the past, any negative people, negative things, or any resentments that you have will create more happiness. Fostering awesome relationships creates happiness. So having people around you that you care about and that care about you. Creating daily habits, day in and day out of your life, is something that creates happiness. So it's not only those big things, those big goals and dreams, but it's also the daily things that you can do, such as gratitude, kindness, and mindfulness. And lastly, we looked at passion and purpose and how to actually find what it is that you love and what it is that you want to do with your life in terms of creating value and meaning. So I hope that those 5 steps were really interesting to you. Like I said, they absolutely changed my life, and there's a lot of significant studies around all of these steps. So please continue on them. So we all should be extremely happy now, right? We've all got the answers and solutions to your positive, let go, have good relationships, have positive habits, and purpose, right? So we should be looking like this, excited about life and ready and raring to go. But there is one problem still, is happiness takes time. Good things take time, guys. We all want a quick fix. We all want things to happen right away, take a pill or achieve something right now and get the results. But happiness for me took time to create an experience, and I'm still creating it. And it will be the same for you. And I want to help you create that. I want to help you create more happiness in your life easier and faster than I did. So how do I know this? Like I said, because it's taken me thousands of hours to get here. So how can I help you create more happiness? So, by the way, when I learned to change my life with all these steps, it was literally an experience from night to day. So from learning, growing, trying, testing, reading, things started to change. The light started to come on and I started to feel different, and the opportunities started to arise around me. So I want this for you too. So I've got a program coming up called 6 Weeks to Happiness, which is starting on the 7th of June, which I'm extremely excited about. It is an online group program, and it's going to be taking place every Tuesday evening for 1 hour. Okay, so I'm going to quickly talk you through each of those steps. So the first step at the top there is happy head, which basically we're going to go through 6 steps to a happy head, which is all about mindsets and beliefs and how to change them. So one thing that I didn't tell you was I had a lot of limiting beliefs when I was younger, and one specifically was that I wasn't smart enough. And I believed that in order to be successful doing things, I needed to work really, really hard, long hours, harder than anyone else, because I didn't have the brains and I wasn't smart, which is actually complete and utter craziness, because I have loads of intelligence and I'm extremely successful at what I do now, but it's these limiting beliefs that hold us back. So that segment in the first week is all about getting a happy head and really getting to grips with our mindsets and our beliefs. The next week is all about happy history. So we touched on it today, learning to let go. So this segment's all about forgiving, healing, letting go, and releasing anything that's holding you back. And we're going to go through a step-by-step process through loads of worksheets and exercises to help you do that. The third week is about being happy and healthy, which is having healthy mind, body, and soul, and really learning how to take care of yourself and create balance in your life. So the fourth week is about a happy heart. So again, we touched on that today, is how to create passion and purpose so that we can create happiness from the inside out. So that is what Happy Heart is all about. And then we have Happy Hustling. So it's all good and well learning all this knowledge and the tools, and you've got all the things to do, right? But it doesn't actually change your life unless you take action. So that segment's all about creating results. We're going to create plans, routines, habits, and goals to help you take the knowledge and the tools and actually implement them in life. And then lastly is Happy and Harmony, which is all about holistic happiness, which is happiness as a whole rather than individual parts. So I want you guys to experience happiness in the mind, body, and soul. That is my goal for you guys for this course. So like I said, this goal is after 6 weeks, you'll start to feel happier, more empowered, and have all the necessary knowledge and tools to continue to create more happiness in every area of your life. Let me just quickly go through some of the benefits now. Not only will you learn how to feel happier today, but how to be happier every day whenever you choose. You'll learn how to become the choice maker in your life. You'll learn the tools that you need to make immediate changes when you find yourself slipping back to the old habits and old way of thinking, because we all know that we do that. You'll be empowered with new ways of thinking to conquer limiting beliefs like I did. You'll grow as a person from the inside out, and you'll learn how to let go of the past, even if you're not sure of what you need to let go of. And you'll feel motivated to take action. And you'll start to feel different, happier and healthier and more excited about your future. So those are awesome benefits there for the program. I really hope that you can see that it is transformational, going through a step-by-step process that we'll be going through on the 6 weeks of happiness. So I want to just ask you guys, what is the cost of relying on other people and other things to make you happy? What is the cost of waiting until it's too late? Or what is the cost of living in the past? The cost of staying the same or feeling just okay? For me, I didn't want the cost of having a mediocre life. I know that I'm destined for more than mediocrity, and I know that you are too. So this is what I did for 10 years. I relied on other people for happiness, and I thought that was normal until I got divorced and realized I couldn't rely on somebody else to make me happy. And then I thought I could rely on the comfort of my nice things and the roof over my head until I lost that too, and I realized I couldn't rely on that anymore. And then I thought I could just get my promotion and my salary increase, and I could go on holiday or meet a great guy, and that's where I would find happiness. But I realized I might be waiting for happiness a long time. So the cost was too much for me, and I'd had enough, and that is why I started to make significant changes in my life. What this program is about. 6 Weeks Happiness program is about life-changing experiences. So let's look at what that includes. So it is 6 times 45-minute online group coaching sessions, 1 per week, starting on the 7th of June at 7 p.m. British Summer Time. Loads of worksheets, checklists, exercises, PDFs, things to keep you on track, homework to hold you accountable in the week. You'll get continual support from me and my team as you go through your 6 weeks to happiness, and I'll always answer any questions that you have to help you keep on track. See nice feedback and accountability from me in my Facebook group, The Happiness Club. By the way, if you want to come on over and join that group, just type it in a request to be added and I can add you to that. You'll positive people who are also dedicated to changing their life. You'll learn from others and across a variety of industries to help you find even more ways to create happiness. and you'll keep on growing with access to a lifetime community of the materials that I'm going to be giving you, and you'll get complimentary updates on new trainings to ensure you always have the best information. And best of all, you get special offers on further coaching programs and opportunities. So there's lots to be excited about in the program. So guys, I assume you all like a cup of coffee in the day, in the morning. So this program is literally the price of a cup of coffee per day. $3.50 a day. So you can pay $3.50 for a coffee, or you can buy happiness. You can create happiness by going through a program with accountability and with a coach who's been there, done that, and created happiness in their own life. So I would definitely sacrifice that cup of coffee today or every day for the program. So guys, the total investment is $147. That's only, like I said, 24 a week or $3.50 a day. But as always, I think everyone rewards people who take action and who are on programs like this. Like everyone today also got a special discount. So what that discount is, so everyone who has attended my program today gets it for $97. So guys, that's even less, that's $16 a week. So basically, just for being here tonight, I've essentially given you $50. How cool was that? So guys, if you want to sign up, this offer is only available until the end of the month, until the 31st of May, okay? And you can go online on my website and buy this program. You have to enter the coupon HAPPY16 to qualify for the $97 discount, or you simply pop me a mail and we can sort it out between us two. But if you do go on my website, it is thehappinessconsultancy.com/product/6 weeks to happiness. It's up there, the URL is up there, or pop me a mail, like I said, and I can send you the link. Or you can pay by cash, or by EcoCash, or by bank transfer, and it is available in installments. So guys, that's only $97 for 6 weeks to happiness. So I really, really hope that today has been of value. I've tried to add as much as possible, add as many solutions as possible for you, and I hope that you've learned something today. But if you have any questions, at thehappinessconsultancy.com, or go to my website, thehappinessconsultancy.com, and pop me a question in my contact box there. So this is the end of my webinar, but what I'll do now is I will go over to questions and see if there's any questions that anyone has for me before we end the recording. But just, I want to say thanks so much for an awesome, awesome hour. I've absolutely loved doing this, and I hope that you gained huge value. So let me go over to